Like I've even had like really stressful times where I start to have breakouts. It's like I haven't had acne since I was in high school. Why am I now? I need to have my wrinkle cream and my pimple cream. Like what is happening? Uh,
Hi everyone, I am Sun Chung from Hungry Gopher, where we help busy mature women heal their skin and gut issues naturally. Today, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Kathy Gruver, a life and psychedelic coach, motivational speaker, eight-time author, and expert in mind-body medicine with over 30 years of experience. Tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got into mind body medicine and what motivated you.
yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm so excited we get to share this time. I started out as a massage therapist. I actually started out as an actress, and I had this sort of dual path of healing and performing. And when I landed in Hollywood after growing up in Pittsburgh, I had this sort of like loose background in massage. And when I landed in Hollywood, I thought, "Oh, this is so great! Like I can keep doing massage. It'll augment all those award-winning film roles that I'm going to be doing." Well, the film roles didn't come. The massage stayed, and I found myself in Santa Barbara. And I'm endlessly curious and a lifelong learner. So I found that massage wasn't enough for me, and that my clients were expecting me to really be a healer. They would come in and ask me about their uncle's heart condition or their weird rash or their nutrition question. So I started studying more and more. I got my master's and PhD, and when it came time to do my dissertation, I was so enamored with the whole mind body connection. And it's that slash between the mind and the body, right? What is that punctuation that ties the two together? And I studied, Louise Hay's stuff with this, the way we talk about our bodies, saying things like, this is eating at me, or the weight of the world's on my shoulders. And I began to see all these phrases that we use every day be a real hint into what is happening with not only our body, but also our mind. And so I started writing and lecturing more, which brought the acting thing back in, which has been great. So yeah, here I sit. We just did this great compassionate inquiry course together, which was a blast. And I'm heading off to Seattle to study with Eckhart Tolle this weekend. So I'm just constantly pulling in knowledge because then I get to help more people. So that's always my motivation.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that story. Wow, what a
Yeah,
journey. Wow, what an interesting background of, from performing to you're performing in different ways, but you're helping
hmm.
people with the talent you have. So I love that how you merged a lot of fields together, and
Thanks.
that's and I always love this your sense of curiosity. I think the good teachers, inspiring teachers, are actually very good students. I think that's the really beautiful combo. So awesome! I'm really excited to hear more about you today and share some
Thanks.
juicy tips to help women struggling with their chronic health issues. So, many women struggle with chronic health issues, feel dismissed or unsupported. Why do you think this is so common?
Yeah, I think that, we have this list of standard diseases that are kind of acceptable. Like, okay, you've got heart disease, you've got diabetes, you've got cancer. These are things that we can do the blood test and go, you have these things. And I think in the last, let's say, 20 years, we're starting to see more chronic issues like Lyme's disease and fibromyalgia and things where doctors go, I don't know how to test for this. It's purely based on symptoms. And unfortunately, women can get really dismissed from doctors and other health professionals if they don't have one of these standard, the blood test showed it issues. We're even seeing this with mental health stuff right now, right? You can't do a test to see if you're depressed or see if you're bipolar. So these diseases, these illnesses, these chronic conditions that weren't falling into those categories, I think the doctors didn't know what to do with them at the time. So I think there was a lot of dismissal on that. And from an interpersonal perspective, right? If someone says, I've got fibromyalgia or I've got chronic Lyme or I've got chronic fatigue syndrome, they kind of look okay. They don't look sick, right? So their
Yeah.
friends are like, what do you mean you have to sit down 10 minutes into the mall? You look fine. So there's this misconception in our society that if you look okay, well, you
Mhm.
can't have anything wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I think those are some of the reasons women get dismissed. And you kind of have to be your own health detective. You have to really be proactive in advocating for yourself. And I encourage all of my clients to do that because we're our own best expert. And we need to really advocate for ourselves if we feel like we're not getting the care and the testing that we need to have.
That's a really good point. I can personally relate to that. I fell in the bathroom. I know you already know. I fell in the bathroom
Mhm.
about 7 years ago, and with very, very low energy and vertigo and a lot of pain in the body, and there was no diagnosis. I've done a lot of tests, spending thousands of dollars, but there's no test yet. I didn't have energy to walk from downstairs upstairs. I was just exhausted, and yeah, so I see like I felt like am I just crazy or is
Right.
just because I look perfect on paper, but here I am, I'm bedridden for 9 months. So yeah, so I think we often confuse the look and the well-being within. So that's a really good point. So one thing um that that really has gotten me interested is you said like mind body connection and mind body it's one thing. The more I learn it's really one thing. When you
Mhm.
put this together everything starts to really make sense and you start to like okay I can really heal even if physically I don't have anything wrong on paper but if you're
Mhm.
really sick. So yeah, autoimmune disease is just such a good example for that. So how do emotional triggers and resistance play a role in this autoimmune or recurring skin problems, itchiness, and gut issues? A
Yeah.
lot of women that I serve, I'm sure you serve as well, struggle with this as well. So explain a little bit about that of how the
Yeah.
emotional aspects of that, influences it or affects it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just talk about the most base thing that we're all experiencing, which is stress.
Mhm.
Stress takes a toll on our health. Stress affects our immune system. It affects our heart rate, our respiratory rate, it's skin. I mean, like I've even had like really stressful times where I start to have breakouts. It's like I haven't had acne since I was in high school. Why am I now? I need to have my wrinkle cream and my pimple cream. Like, what is happening? Um, so stress on all levels wreaks havoc on the body. And people talk about depression as us taking our emotions inward on ourselves, and anxiety is taking our emotions outward into this sort of stress environment. But all of those, there's this clear interaction between stress and sleep and depression and nutrition. I don't know anybody that says, "Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I gotta have some broccoli." We don't crave the healthy food. We want ice cream and cookies and bagels and,
Oh yeah.
candy, these things that comfort us. And then that creates these sugar problems, which creates yeast problems, which, so everything's so interactive. I think one of the ways that I've really helped clients sort of get to the root of that is through the phrases that they use. So I had a client that showed up to my office just for a massage, and pretty linear architect, like not into the kind of woo stuff that I can get into sometimes. And he said, "Man, I've got this ulcer. It's just driving me crazy." And I knew he had this horrible boss, very overbearing, very controlling, not all that magnanimous a boss. And so I knew he like really probably should be quitting his job. And I said, "Oh, well, like this ulcer, what's it feel like?" And he goes, "Oh, it's burning and then it bubbles up," which to me sounded
Mm-hmm.
like anger. It's burning and then bubbles up. That's what anger does. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, okay, well, that's interesting." I said, "What's eating at you?" And he goes, "Oh, well, it bothers me when I have like pasta sauce and peppers and tomatoes." I said, "No, no, 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 no. What is eating at you?" And he goes, "Oh, it's the spicy foods." And I went, "No, no, 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 no. You're not getting what I'm saying. What is eating at you?" I thought if I got bigger, he would get it. I said, "What is eating at you?" And he thought about it for a second. He goes, "Oh gosh, I'm stupid. I know what you're saying. Tomatoes, peppers, onions, garlic." And I went, "No, no, no." I said, emotion, like what is eating it? Like there was no better way for me to say it. But I've had people that like they feel like they can't let go, or they're gripping
Mm-hmm.
too tightly, or the low back tends to be money issues, sex issues, personal support issues. And when I say that to my clients, they laugh and go, "Which one do you want to hear about first?" There's just this interaction. And interestingly, even if you think there's a good structural like I don't have a great shoulder. My shoulder was bothering me one day, but I thought, what does this shoulder have to tell me? And it was, stop reaching so much, you can relax. So
Mm.
even though I had a structural issue with my arm, which I understand why it hurts, it still had a message for me. And I think us tapping into our own bodies and asking what's happening can really make a difference, like really listening to what's happening with our bodies. I don't think we do that enough. We're not encouraged to know thyself. And the better we know ourselves, the better we can help our practitioners help us. So, when did the symptoms start? What is it? Do you have a food diary? Have you looked at triggers? Have you tried an elimination diet? How's your sleep? How's your mood? Charting all of this stuff in a daily journal can make such a huge difference because it helps you be your own health detective. And I can't say that enough. It's so important that we know ourselves to let others help us.
That's a really beautiful point. I can totally relate to that. I have, same issues. I believe partially, getting to the it's so not known enough. It's so conventionally we're thinking that mind, body, we look at it so separately. I find that often that a lot of my students or the viewers usually don't connect the emotions and their health problems together. They don't think they think it's totally separated.
Mhm.
But once they learn that, like, oh, when I go see my mother, my skin breaks out. It's that stressed me out. So that emotional part, a lot of people not even aware of it, or they're
Mhm.
blinded by the medical field still dismiss, oh, that's just that's not a real thing. But from my journey, I know the emotional healing, internal healing really comes from training and getting healthy emotions. Like that
Mhm.
definitely had a big part. But I think since I really sweet tooth, I can it's my go-to when I feel a little uncomfortable, anxious, or
Mhm.
just or a little pain, I just reach out for food. That's my go-to. I still do that. And
Mhm.
but the stopping that part, like you said, like being self-detective, like, okay, what is it? Like rather than beating yourself, like I shouldn't feel these emotions. I think a lot of women struggle with that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't feel sad. I shouldn't be upset. I should never be tired. I think it's one of the things that women
Superwoman.
who are, you know, they're very capable, but I've learned that I should never ever be disappointing anybody. I should
Right.
never be upset. I should always put smiling on my face. I should always do my best. I think those are the women that high performing women almost struggle with more than most people because they're so harsh on themselves. So
Yeah.
I love that, just like sit with yourself for a minute and be kind, like, okay, what is that I need today? Maybe all you need is just cry a little. I don't know.
hmm
But
Well, and I
yeah,
think that's so important, and that is one of the basis of compassionate inquiry is not shoving those emotions away. Because
yeah,
I've even had coaching clients that are like, "Oh, I just don't want to feel like this anymore." And I said, "But if a little kid walked up to you and was sad, would you say, 'I don't care that you're sad, get away, you're bothering me?'" And she goes, "Oh, no." And I said, "Okay, but that's what you're doing to yourself when you just want to shove that emotion away."
right.
Um, it's important to hold that emotion because those tend to go. I mean, these triggers that we have, right? Those trigger something from way back. It's all going
Yeah.
back to childhood. Um, can I tell another silly story that illustrates that?
Oh yeah, please.
Okay, so I came home from work. I had like 7 minutes to eat and then head back to my office for another client. I didn't have time to make a salad. I was going to grab a sandwich. So I go to grab the sandwich and I grab the bread and I grab the turkey and I throw the turkey on the counter and it goes dunk. It was frozen solid. So my
Ooh.
husband had been kind enough to pull it out of the freezer, but didn't thaw it first. He put it in the deli drawer, which means I had a block of turkey. And I'm chipping off pieces of turkey to microwave it. It was disgusting. But my first thoughts when I saw that turkey was, I can't count on anybody. I've got to do everything myself.
Mm,
Turkey slices, right? And I've said this during some of my workshops where I go turkey slices and it becomes this like call and response. It's that silly thing that I told a story about me, that I
yeah.
don't deserve help, that no one loves me, that I'm alone. That is not a new thing. That has nothing to do with turkey. That has
Okay.
everything to do probably with little Kathy standing in the crib going, ah, and them not getting me quick enough. And
Right.
so I love when these things come up that get to be this key to, you know, uncovering these things and helping to get rid of these triggers, because like they say in compassionate inquiry, if you pull the trigger and there's nothing in there, it just goes click click, there's no bang. So trigger me all day long, that lets me know where that's coming from and how I can go back and heal some of these old wounds. Now, not that you want to be walked on. So that night I said to my husband, hey, could you do me a favor, can you thaw it before you put it in the deli drawer? We also do have to advocate for ourselves. And just because we accept something doesn't mean we like it and don't want to change it. It just means that in accepting it, we get to work on it and make it better. So
That's
the whole turkey
beautiful.
slice thing, just, oh my God.
That's really beautiful. The accepting part is such a big part. And so that's a really good story. We often do that, beat ourselves up and just yeah, like it don't it's almost like a badge of honor for
Hmm.
like I don't need anybody's help, but we do. Not only we need it, we're getting it every time you're breathing. Like you're getting the help from the universe, the sun, the
Yep.
trees, and is your skin still flaring up, even though you eat clean? You're not alone. Take the free Clear Skin and Wellness Audit. Visit healyourskin.today and get clarity on what your skin and gut actually needs to heal. Everything supports you, but the allowing self is almost I I'm sure you experienced this too. Like I experienced that even for myself and for my students. Like, would you allow yourself for 3 minutes just to be still and breathe and be gentle? And I think
Hmm.
that gentleness is such a key. If you're like a 3-year-old child, like wouldn't you hold that child very gentle? And if you
Yeah.
do it to yourself, I think that emotion really changes. And every emotion that comes out, like this is mind body connection again that blows my mind. That every emotion that creates, it's like you're eating a piece of carrot or something. It needs to be digested.
Hmm.
So feeling it fully is very, very important and very healthy, and it just so it doesn't get stuck there.
Yeah.
And that's definitely yeah, I believe there'll be a really great tool for any moment. So talking about tools, um, what why do you, so you mentioned 5 why technique, the
Mm.
importance of asking tough questions and getting honest with ourselves. Um, so how can that help women uncover root issues for their skin problems or unexplained gut issues or autoimmune issues?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with root cause analysis, it is just asking the whys, and that comes so much for what do you really want? That's one of the first things I ask my clients is what do you want? And they often give me something like, I just want to be happy. Okay, I don't know what that means. Happy for me means something very different than happy for you, than happy for the people that are listening right now. So really digging down to the root of what is happening, and the root cause analysis traces it back. Right. So the best example that people normally use is the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. It was degrading faster than any of the other monuments, and they couldn't figure out why. So they called in engineers and said, could you fix this? The concrete was failing, the marble was chipping off. It was just a mess. And the engineer wanted to fix it, but wanted to get to the root of why this was happening. So he takes the groundskeeper aside and he says, hey, can you tell me what's happening with this monument? Why is it degrading faster than all the rest? It's the same age, it's the same material. And the groundskeeper says, oh, I don't know, man, but all I know is I'm power washing the crap out of this monument. And the guy goes, oh, why are you power washing this so much? And he says, well, it's covered in bird poop. They're like, oh, they thought they solved the problem. Birds. They put up the bird netting, they put up the spiky thing so the birds wouldn't land on it, but yet it's still, they got through. It looked terrible. A couple months goes by, they called the engineer again and said, look, this isn't working, just fix it. The guy says, yeah, but why is this happening? So he goes back to the groundskeeper. He starts observing. He comes to find out there's really tasty spiders. Okay, why? Because there's really yummy bugs. Okay, why? Because they leave the lights on overnight. And every other
Oh,
monument, they either dimmed the lights or turned them off. So the lights were attracting the bugs, attracting the spiders, attracting the birds that were pooping, and they were having to power wash it more. So they solved the problem. They dimmed the lights at night.
Oh,
We
nice.
so often do not do this with ourselves. We think we want to win the lottery, but what we actually want to do is start a foundation to help people. We so often have this idea of, what really is your symptom? Is it something that you haven't thought of yet? When did this start? This is why I think it's so important for us to know ourselves, because there's been times where people come into my office and I say, "How are you feeling?" They go, "I don't know. Does anything hurt?" "Yeah, my neck." Point to it. "Okay, that's your shoulder." And not that I expect everybody to know anatomy and physiology. I have to, that's my job. But knowing yourself, when did that start hurting? I don't know. It's so important to know as much as we can. We can describe our car and the sound it makes in the rain going up a hill to the mechanic. It goes click, click, click when I turn the steering wheel, but we don't know our bodies that well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not empowered to. And
Great.
to me, one of the most important things we can do aside from know ourselves is second opinions. And if that doesn't work, get a third and a fourth. Not everybody knows everything. I cannot serve everybody that needs a massage. I cannot serve everybody that needs a coach. I often refer because I want people to get the best care. So if something is not ringing true for you, if that feels deep inside you not quite right, ask somebody else. And it gets exhausting and it can be tedious. And all we can do is advocate for our own care. And because we're our best, we know ourselves the best. We're inside of this and we get to monitor how it feels or doesn't feel. So that's my tip for that. So that's the five whys and then a little expanding on that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's that having, yeah, it's like in other words, having a real curiosity for yourself. And I I know I I know there's what you said is so much wisdom knowing yourself, and you're always co-authoring. I think the empowering
Mhm.
part is so important. One of the things I've learned throughout the journey, it is very important to listen to the authority, but you have to take ownership. You're co-authoring. No
Yep.
one person fixes you because you're not a car. You're a human being. You're a living thing. So I think it's very important. You get very curious. Okay, like doctor told me this, I do this. Do I feel better in a couple of months? Does it
Mhm.
not? Then it gets much worse. Like, wait a minute here. I followed, but this doesn't work.
Yep.
So that getting yourself off mindlessness, not you're listening and you're searching for guidance and support, but not fully 100% relying on like this person will fix me because it's
Yep.
not how it works. Like you have the healing wisdom, healing power in the body, and you have potential to heal. I think that's such a big piece. So in other words, you're calling it detective. I call it being really curious. Like
Yeah.
really have a very like just like a little sprout that comes out like. Oh, what is that about me? Oh, I didn't know I feel this way, or like, oh, this I did this and this works out better. So the curiosity part, I think that's such
Yeah.
a beautiful component. So five whys, that's really beautiful. So what's one self-reflective practice that someone could try today if they feel stuck or unsupported or they just feel overwhelmed?
One. Oh, son, come on. I got like 3,000 in my head.
Pick one.
One. Okay. Um, I'm going to give you two. Okay. One of which is your circle of support. Draw a circle and put those people that you can count on in that circle, whether it's a spouse or someone at work or a girlfriend or a sister or a clergy person or someone from your kid's school. Know who you have in your circle. Know who that if you're having a bad day, you can call to cheerlead you, to comfort you, to support you. And kind of going along with that, as well as the 7,000 other things I could say that's so easy, is keep a gratitude journal. And
Mm,
the thing that I see so beneficial about a gratitude journal is yes, as you're writing what you're grateful for, that bumps us up too. But what's so great about a gratitude journal is if you're having a really bad day, if you're in pain, if you're uncomfortable, if you feel bad, open up that journal and you get reminded of these things that are surrounding you that benefit you, that are lifting you up. I'm going to squeeze another one in. Hypnosis is great.
yeah,
Hypnosis. I had a
yeah,
client who
yeah.
had part of her stomach removed from stomach cancer. and was having horrible nausea. And one of her most favorite things was eating. And I got her to a point where she could eat without nausea using hypnosis. So if there's something like that going on, really, really great tool too. So I squoze three in. Sorry, I broke the rules.
That's all right. Those three are wonderful. That support is very, very important part. So I cannot emphasize that enough. You have to support yourself first, so you don't rely on others entirely. But it's also very wise to
Yeah.
support getting support that you need. But support, I think it's trick. You have to find people who empower you, not
Yeah.
disempower you. It's like, oh, my back hurts, and they go like, I'm sorry, but what to expect? You're getting older. You don't want to.
Mm,
That's not support. So don't
mm-mm.
get confused of getting pity and support. Support is like this. My back hurts, and like, oh, I'm sorry, like that's gotta be hard, but well, you know what? You can do this little yoga move. That might
Mm-hmm.
help. This is support. So don't get confused. Don't get confused with pity party and support. Support is helping you grow and helping empowering you, not
Yeah.
disempowering you. I wanted to emphasize that. So that's really good. And hypnosis, I haven't tried it, but I can see the benefit of it because you're really sinking down in different brainwaves, so you open up. So that can be a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for the insight, and it's been incredibly valuable. And where can people find you if they want to explore your coaching, books, or talks?
Yeah, absolutely. So kathygruver.coach, you'll find everything about my one-on-one team coaching, relationship coaching, life coaching, psychedelic coaching, all that stuff. kathygruver.com about speaking. My books are there. And then if we want to throw some hypnosis in there, we've got Healing Circle Hypnotherapy. And I'm here in Santa Barbara, but I could do hypnosis and coaching all over the world. So I look forward to hearing from you.
Is your skin still flaring up, even though you eat clean? You're not alone. Take the free Clear Skin and Wellness Audit. Visit healyourskin.today and get clarity on what your skin and gut actually needs to heal. And if you've been struggling with chronic skin or gut issues and want personalized support, you can book your free Clear Skin and Gut Health Breakthrough Call at healyourskin.today. And if you like this and found this helpful, visit healyourskin.today to find more information to empower you so you can start healing from inside out and get the root cause and get beautiful, clear skin all naturally. All right. Thanks again, Dr. Kathy Gruver. And thank you for watching. And stay tuned for more insightful conversation next month. Take care. Bye. Visit healyourskin.today. Discover your power to heal your gut and get clear skin.